Hello, everybody, and welcome to our live stream. I am Barika Phillips Bell, co founder of B3 Media Solutions.
And I'm Myra Bell, the other co founder of B3 Media Solutions, and we specialize in social media monitoring, listening, and analytics reporting. And we
And
always,
I am so
oh, I'm sorry, go
I
ahead.
said, and I'm so excited because today we get to talk about how we are going to select the right social media platforms for your brand. And before we get into that, Myra, I know you did a little research to see
Yes,
what was trending today.
I
So
will
let's talk
do.
about that.
Yes, I'm always doing my little research, and we always like I said, start off our live stream with what is trending worldwide. And so the two top events are Grammy Awards because that's coming up in April, and the event Women's Day, and that's because March is National Women's History Month. So
That's
happy
right.
Women's History Month to you, Barika.
Happy Women's History Month to you, Myra.
So I just want to say, check out our social. We already posted some content to honor and celebrate women who have come before us and paved the way for us to move forward.
Awesome. And we'll also be focusing on women in data because that's what we are. A lot of women have done a lot of amazing things with data and analytics, and we want to showcase them as well because women rock.
Yes, we do.
So, today, we want to take you through the key points that we use when we're working with our clients on understanding which social platforms they should consider working on. So, first up, we'll cover what are your social media objectives? Really important to understand what are you trying to do on social? Next, we'll work through what channels are your target audience using, looking into understanding how your target audience is already congregating online. We'll look at the channels that your competitors are using and what they're doing on those channels, as well as the type of content that your business or brand wants to actually create. And lastly, we'll look at how many channels you should actually manage. So, before we get into all of that, I think it's really important, Myra, to understand like what are you trying to achieve on social media? Talk to me
Right,
a little bit about that.
right. So the first thing that you should do before you select the right social media platform for your brand is ask yourself this question: what do I want to achieve on social media? And so this graph shows you a really good breakdown on what marketers are focused on when it comes to creating a strategy and focus, to pick the right social platforms for the brand. So there's 70% want to increase brand awareness. 59% are focused on sales and lead generation. Um, Others are interested in community management engagement, or they want to see that increase and they want to grow their audience or just increase web traffic. So it's really important to identify what are your objectives. Some of the things that you might want to consider for increasing brand awareness, you want to maybe use a mix of targeted Facebook ads and short form vertical videos such as TikTok or Instagram Reels for generating more leads. You can consider using LinkedIn for business to business marketing. That's pretty awesome. And then if you want to sell product, you can consider visual channels like Instagram or Pinterest. They both offer product tags and prices that link to your e-commerce store. So, that's the first step in kind of answering that question of selecting what channels you should focus on. And what's the next step, Barika, that people should consider, for trying to identify the channels their organization should focus on?
The next step that I want to understand with the brand is what channels are their audience is already using? Not their competitors. What channel are their audience already using? And that really comes after you've aligned your goals with your social media selection. When you look at a brand, if you're targeting 70-year-old women, it might not be beneficial to be on Instagram because a lot of 70-year-old women are not going to be focused there. And similarly, if you are targeting men, a lot of men aren't on Pinterest. So that might not be the platform. So the tightest and most effective strategies are going to be informed by your analytics, your demographics. That allows you to focus on data driven strategies and insights so that your channel, the channels that you choose, actually are the most targeted approach that are possible, and it increases your chances of conversion. Now, we use tools like a Brand Watch or a Talkwalk or even Sprout Social to basically help us analyze followers for brands. And it provides information like gender and age and location for your current social audiences, and it really helps you to decide which channels are worth maintaining based on the demographics and which one aren't. And if any brands are out there and they haven't actually chosen a channel, you might want to look at Pew Research. Pew Research has they provide a wealth of information around which channels are going to work best for a brand. But also, I want to focus on the types of social data that you're going to get from the audiences that you're working on. So, like anything from general online social networking to blogging to microblogging platforms like Twitter or Weibo, wikis, social news, social media bookmarking, media sharing, opinion reviews, rating sites. So there's just so much social media data that's out there that you can use in order to help you get the demographic data that you need to understand where your audience is operating. So, in short, when you're choosing your social media channels, always, always, always back up your decisions with data rather than just being led by the current trends. So, before we get into the next one, I wanted to ask you, Myra, we've gone through two of the ways that we work with brands, but the third one, talk to me a little bit about how we can use like competitor information.
Yes, that's another great useful step is really to check out what your competitors are using. So looking at competition will also give you an idea of the typical content in your industry or niche, and you'll get a clearer picture of what channels you need to be active on. And this is what I say is our sweet spot. This is what we really do best. And we say you should ask yourself these questions. What channels are your competitors using? What channels are delivering the most engagement? And what type of content on each channel drives the most engagement? So I love looking at engagement, and I love looking at competitors. There's a lot of tools out there that you can set up alerts for and notifications to not only track your activity, but your competitors' online activity. And I have to, again, say this is something that we do really, really well. We help brands set up competitive analysis and dashboards so they can understand the landscape. We use tools like Rapid IQ, Sprout Social, NetBase Brand Watch, Talkworker that Barika had mentioned. And on this slide, you see an example of a share of voice slide. That's the circle graph that just shows the share of conversation particular brands have against their competitive set. And then on the bottom right, that's a chart by Rival IQ, and they show your competitive set that you're interested in and how active they are on each channel. And, by answering those particular questions that I outlined, what channels are they using, your competitors using, and engagement metrics, you focus on those types of metrics, that will really help you hone into the channels you may want to focus on. Rico, what is the next key point a brand should consider when they want to select the right social media platform to focus their brand on?
Well, I think you mentioned, Myra, in your last point about the types of content that drive engagement. So, obviously, what kind of content do you want to create? That is a key thing that I think that every brand should consider. Now, Sprout Social did an index where they ask marketers, like, what are the most valuable types of content for social goals? Now, based on your social goals, which is the first point that we covered, video was number one. And honestly, video is king. Like, you can see it on all of the social channels. All of the social channels are shifting to kind of compete with TikTok. It's amazing how short form content, video, has become the forefront of every social platform's goals. But beyond that are images, text based posts, stories, and live videos. Those are the top five. So when it comes to understanding like how you want to do content and what you can potentially do, you really want to look at, are you B2B? Are you B2C? If you're a B2B, you might want to do more white papers or case studies, or even sharing things like videos of people using your product, or webinars that might be helpful. You also want to know, if are you able to upload a lot of video content? If so, you might want to prioritize working on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram might be at the top of your list. And if it's not something that you can do, then it may be something where you want to prioritize working on Pinterest or platforms that only look at posts that are images. It's best for you to be realistic about the content creation that you can do, because it does take time. And when you start out on a new network, you want to make sure that you have the right type of content and the amount of content that's required in order for you to get good engagement and amplify your message and awareness. But lastly, I think it's important to take stock of what content you already have. If you have blogs, or if you have images or marketing material, you can always repurpose that information and use it again to be able to showcase like your social posts. You may be able to turn it into a video blog. So there's a myriad of different things that you can do with the content that you already have if you take stock of what's in your current stockpile of content. So now we've gone through 4 different ways that we help brands understand selecting their channels. Myra, hit me with the last one.
Okay, the last one. The question is, how many channels should you manage?
Yes.
So many brands are very active on several social media channels. And it's really highly unlikely that your brand will use just one to showcase what you do best. So it's about striking that perfect balance. That really can be tricky because it really comes down to resources, right? And then also, if you're active on too many platforms, you'll spread yourself too thin and dilute the impact of your efforts. And like I said, you know, your team may suffer by being on just so much because you're spreading yourself thin. And you just don't want to rely also too heavily on just one platform, because
Yeah.
you want your brand's visibility and reach to be greater, so it may suffer if you're just on one platform. So by answering the key questions and the key points that we outlined up front, what are your objectives, where is your audience, what channels are they on, and where are your competitors, what channels are they using, and what kind of content do you want to create? When you answer those questions, that can help you hone in on what channel you want to be active on. A lot of brands that we work with that are clients, they're obviously on the big five: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube. Now, a lot of them are also incorporating TikTok as part of their social media strategy, Twitch, Discord. And then we also have some brands that are active on Pinterest and still Snapchat. They're still out there snapping. So, it runs the gamut, basically. But I do want to add this one suggestion or point and advise that um, before you even select what channels you really want to focus on, you should at minimum grab your name, your business name and profile, and create that account so you have it on standby when and if you're ready, or if and when you're ready to be more active on that platform. So, that's really the golden nugget there is just grab your profile name. Barika, is there anything else you want to add to that?
The only thing that I would add to that is making sure you have a social media calendar and a scheduling tool. Scheduling tools could be something as simple as a Hootsuite or Sprout Social or a Buffer, but they save you a ton of time because you can kind of automate those posts. So instead of having to post something every day on the native channels, they allow you to go across the gamut of different channels and schedule it out. So you can kind of batch your work rather than having to do it piece by piece by piece, which is really, really difficult. That level of automation, if you try and incorporate that into your social content calendar, that's going to really help propel your strategy and help you do more than just simply posting onesie twosie. So that would be the only thing that I'd have to add.
That's a good ad. That's a great ad. Time saver.
But I guess before we wrap everything up, I do want to showcase, like, deciding on the right channel really has a lot to do with, the questions that we've covered, right? But that's what's going to help you to narrow down your choices of what social media platforms. But I thought that this was a very interesting slide to look at. And that's because it's a mixture of what brands use versus what consumers want brands to use more of. Now, the brands are using the things in blue. The pink is what consumers actually want brands to use more of. And you can see here that there's a gap in almost every one of them, with the exception of Pinterest. So this is a good little index for brands to be able to look at and kind of see, where the gap is. And if they're not on these channels, really look into their followers to see, are my followers there? Should I be there? So using benchmarking data like this across an industry is really helpful in helping you to decide and select the social media channels that you might want to be on. So if you need help deciding on what platforms that you may need to be on, or if you want to broaden and expand the social platforms that you are on, please feel free to reach out to us at b3mediasolutions.com. We are doing a 30-minute consultation with enterprise level clients and helping them to understand more about social listening, social analytics, reporting, and even the social platforms that they are on. And we'd love to talk to you.
Yes, we would love to talk to you. And I have to apologize. My dog is going crazy in the background, so apologies for the barking. But Barika, I think we do have a question. We have a question. So let me see. What is it? It's, have we ever had to tell a client they needed to delete a channel?
Yes. Yes. I think with that, we've had a lot of clients, especially in the restaurant and even prior to in the transportation area, where they would have every channel and they'd have it per city. And it was just too difficult for them to actually go through all of the different channels and all of the different correspondences. It wasn't actually set up the way it is now, where you can kind of manage multiple channels in multiple cities and multiple brands. So we have had to recommend, and if they weren't getting good engagement, they didn't have their followers, especially if they were maybe so targeting younger audiences, Facebook is not the platform where you would want to necessarily be, but a TikTok or Snapchat might make way more sense in the long run. So I definitely have had to tell a brand to delete a channel or to delete several channels because they weren't performing for them, and in the end, they were just spending more time and effort than what was necessary.
It all comes down to the data,
Exactly. It all comes down to the
data. Okay. But thank you for answering that, Barika. And I just want to tell everybody thanks for joining us. And please join us on our next live stream, where we're going to talk about how social media insights can help your brand. And we'll show you some real life examples of how we use social listening to provide those business insights to our clients. So please check out our social. for the date and time of our next live stream. So until then, have an awesome week. And this was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Have an awesome week and happy Women's History Month to everyone. Bye-bye.